All right, the deadline looms in the Middle East. What will Hamas do? Will they comply? Will they release the hostages as Trump has asked them to do? And I'm using that word ask lightly. He has demanded that they do this in the name of peace. Benjamin Netanyahu says it's going to happen, either the easy way or the hard way. We're going to discuss this today. That 72-hour window, I believe we're in that window, or we may be surpassing that window, but this is nothing new. It's going to be very interesting to see how this transpires. Also, there is reports that military is building in the Middle East. The U.S. military has launched a major deployment of dozens of refueling aircraft to Qatar over the past few days. What in the world is going on there? What are they anticipating? Does this have anything to do with this situation? Or is it possible that we're gearing up for another conflict with Iran? Then we're going to talk about the digital identification. This has officially been presented in the United Kingdom. They're trying to push this through and get this through to the parliament. And then now Sweden's on board. We're going to talk about that today. Also, we're also going to discuss this. We're going to pull all this together and talk about how all of these are yet more signs that indeed things are accelerating on a prophetic level. And today we've got a very special guest that's going to help us kind of just weave all this together and give us a tapestry from a biblical perspective. And we're talking about our good friend, Tom Hughes. So we'll be right back, and we're going to have a great podcast for you. Let's go.
The following program is brought to you by friends and partners of End Time Headlines.
All right, what's going on, guys? This is End Time Headlines, news and headlines from a prophetic perspective, and we're kicking off another week. Can you believe it? We're in the second week of October, unbelievable, of 2025. And man, we've got a great one lined up for you tonight. And before we even get started on this, you know the drill. Help us out here on YouTube. Hit that like button. That's going to push us out and get eyes on our program. Take it a step further, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell notification as well. That's going to benefit you, and it's going to benefit us. You guys listen by Apple or Spotify. We appreciate you as well. And if you'll just, if you don't mind, give us a good review if you enjoy our content. That's equivalent to hitting that like button on the social media platforms, and so other people can hear as well. And listen, we got a great project, and I want to get right into this today. As I said at the introduction of this, we got a lot to talk about today, and we're pulling our good friend. He is no stranger to the program. We're talking about our good friend, Pastor Tom Hughes. Pastor Tom, how's it going out there in your neck of the woods?
Ricky, it's always good to see you. Great to be with you. And how's it going in my neck of the woods? Well, it is California, so we're on the other coast.
Right.
So you look at things and go, okay, some places in California are great. Where I live, it's not too bad, but I don't live in Los Angeles or San Francisco, so right. Or Sacramento, where a crazy governor is.
Yeah. So it's rainy and nasty, and finally transitioning to fall here in my neck of the woods here in the southern portion of the United States in the state of Georgia. So, brother, it's always good to have you back on. You're no stranger to the broadcast. Most people know your ministry. If not, again, you can find Pastor Tom at hopeforourtimes.com. Let me see if I can pull up your website. I think we've got a shot of that. We can pull that up here just in case somebody may not know. This is his main website right here. And is this a new book you guys got right here, Pastor Tom? On this? Go ahead.
Yeah, Ricky, that is. So what I did with this book is I wanted to get the Christian who supported Israel, but they're being challenged by all their friends right now that God's done with Israel and all of this. And Ricky, you know this, most Christians, even in Bible prophecy, you'll ask them, why do you support Israel? And they'll say, Genesis chapter 12, verse 3, I'll bless those who bless thee, I'll curse him who curses you. but they can't get beyond that. So what I wanted to do, instead of make it a real technical book or hard to understand, I tell people this, it's the words of J. Vernon McGee: get the cookies off the shelf down to the place where the kiddos can get them, and just
Right.
bring the understanding biblically. It's not in an argumentative fashion, but it's 15 chapters, very easy to read, simple. It's not a big book either. It's not thick, but 15 chapters of scripture, context, and explanation on things regarding Israel. I deal with what does it mean to support Israel? What about Israel's disobedience in the past and present? So I go through 15 different chapters, all Bible, but I really wanted to make it simple, not technical, so the average person could read it and go, okay, it's a Bible thing, and actually get it.
And this is much needed in today's environment, guys. Again, for you guys listening by Apple or Spotify, can't see this. The title of the book is Israel's Place in God's Eternal Plan. And where can they pick this up? Is this on Amazon, or is it directly from your website, or both? Or
yeah, it's not on Amazon. It is. It's a donation, is what it is. So,
okay.
whatever, if people want to donate $1, they'll get it. I hope they donate a little bit more than $1, because it costs me more than that. But they'll get the digital. What they'll get is automatically they'll get the digital book, which will include audio. It includes PDF if they want that, or you can even upload it or download it into a tablet and read it that way too. And so it is through donation, but it's not on Amazon. And it's not a book for sale, so to speak. That makes sense. It's for people who, hey, just want to support, but also get the product. Give you a real quick example. Is that a friend who is starting to believe the stuff that we see about anti-Israel. He's been a good friend of mine for a long time. He's been to Israel with me several times. And so he got a copy of the book, and he goes, now I don't see how you could believe replacement theology. It's just real, after reading it, because it's just real simple. It's like, to me, it's like, I mean, how can you not get it if you're willing to just read? So I hope it strengthens people. Again, it's super simple read. It is not a heady book, intentionally done that way, so people will just get the why question about it.
Great. Sounds great. So if you want to bless Pastor Tom and his ministry, go over there and sow a seed and pick up that book and equip yourself. Iron sharpens iron. Equip yourself, because we're going to need it. And we're in an environment and a culture now where the tide is turning. We'll get a little bit into that today, but I want to pull up this article right here. Speaking of Israel, these Gaza peace talks are set to take place today in Egypt. And we've got a video that I want to watch this with Pastor Tom, and they're going to get us up to par on this. I'm going to try to pick his brain and see where is this leading. What does he think about this? So let's watch this video real quick.
This meeting in Egypt today to, quote, move fast. This is amid all these hopes that an agreement can be reached to bring an end to the war in Gaza, after Hamas said it had accepted some elements of the White House's 20-point peace plan. Over the weekend, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he hoped to announce the release of the remaining hostages being held in the enclave in the coming days. Speaking on Face the Nation yesterday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio outlined some of the logistical hurdles that will need to be ironed out at today's talks.
What those talks should be about, and some of that conversation is already happening now, it's not waiting until Monday in Cairo, is the logistics behind the release of these hostages. How do you stop the fighting? Who's going to go in and get them? When are they going to be released? Where are they picked up? What are the processes for this?
I have a feeling that we're going to have a positive answer. But if not, as you know, BB, you'd have our full backing to do what you would have to do.
This can be done the easy way, or it can be done the hard way.
So, Pastor Tom, we, again, there's this deadline, and this has kind of become a running joke in some circles, because how many times has Trump given a quote-unquote deadline to Hamas? If you don't do this in so many hours or so many days, then, this is going to happen. We're going to unleash the gates of hell, this and that. And then that timeline surpasses that red line or that timeline. And then another, and it's almost like we raised the bar up, and then they kick this up here. So here we are again. there's this quote unquote 72-hour deadline. I believe today, as of the recording of this on Monday, October 6th, we're in that 72-hour mark. What do you actually, number one, do you believe that Hamas is actually going to comply? Are they going to release the remaining hostages? And how many is there actually alive? That's the sad part to even say that. And number two, if they don't comply according to Trump's demands, what he said, and I'm gonna let me pull this up right before we get your take on this. Look at this headline: Trump warns of massive bloodshed if Hamas fails to agree to peace deal, and he says move fast. President Trump made this social media post about Hamas on Sunday evening, minutes before the deadline for a peace proposed passed. So according to this thing passed Sunday evening. So we're as of the recording this, we're beyond that 72-hour mark. And again, that was on 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. Quote, these talks have been very successful and proceeding rapidly. The technical teams will again meet Monday, so this is today, in Egypt to work through and, quote, clarify the final details. So what do you think, Pastor?
Well, I think, number one, Hamas can't be trusted. I mean, you look at the Quran, listen, it's good for you to lie if you can take out the infidel, and so we look at what Islam does. For people who actually believe in the Quran, this is what they're going to do. They're going to lie. So Hamas already has this track record. It's their MO to enter into some kind of stall place, ceasefire. So I don't know if you had the chance, Ricky, to read what Hamas actually responded to Trump with. And you read it, you go, well, this is absolutely absurd. So originally how it's supposed to go, Hamas is basically supposed to go away. There's going to be a peaceful transition. There's going to be international forces that are going to be now guiding and keeping the peace in Gaza. It's going to be Arab, plus Trump was going to be the head of the Board of Peace, and Tony Blair's going to be involved. That was all last week, right? And then you come around to what Hamas said. Hamas said, no, this is how they responded. And this just shows that they can't be trusted. They said, no, we're going to have none of this. We'll do a hostage release deal, which they've said before, by the way. We'll do a hostage release exchange. So they get their, 1,700 terrorists or something like that they're going to that Israel's going to have to release our terrorists back to us. The ones who were already part of killing you guys, release them back to us. We'll release the hostages to you. And then, but guess what? We're not going away. Hamas has made it very clear, we are not going to go away. So no, and Israel will not be involved in this. There's going to be, in their words, there's going to be no occupier. Hamas is still going to be in charge. So this is, from what I've seen, this is what they're negotiating in Egypt right now, is how to work through it. So Netanyahu responds with to this regarding the hostage deal, and it says, Netanyahu secured coalition support to begin the hostage deal, as Smotrich and Ben-Gvir warned they won't tolerate a Gaza agreement that leaves Hamas intact. So I look at this, and Ricky, you and I both know there's been many ceasefires with Hamas already. And October 6th of 2023, there was a ceasefire. And guess what happened on October 7th? Hamas breaks the ceasefire, and we are where we are here 2 years later. So, I mean, how could the Trump administration actually believe this? Marco Rubio's a brilliant guy. He understands Mideast well. And so he also understands biblical things regarding the nation of Israel. And so you look at this and go, is Trump, it's a stall tactic. And the Muslims are master players at stalling. Iran's been doing it for decades. I don't know, Ricky. I don't see this as being currently the piece that is necessary to move things forward if we were to look at biblical things like Ezekiel 38. But I'm looking at this going, why would Hamas actually hold on to agree to something like this? And I don't think they're going to.
Right. Now, there is, I want to pull this back up here. I pulled this up just so we could talk about this for a second. This was an article from Axios. Now, take it for what you will, but allegedly Trump told Netanyahu on Gaza talks, I'll get it out in a second, you're always so blank and negative. And this is yet another, some say these are more signs that there's cracks that's been forming in the relationship between Netanyahu and Trump over this, because Trump wants, he wants to be known to put these peace deals together. That's what he wants his legacy to be. According to this report, when Hamas came back with a yes, but to Trump's Gaza peace proposal on Friday, Trump called Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to discuss what he saw as good news, and Netanyahu felt differently. It's kind of like what we're saying. And
Yeah.
I mean, can you blame Netanyahu? This guy's there. He's in the middle of it. He faces the consequences. His people suffer from this stuff for years and years and years and years, decades and decades. Bibi told Trump this is nothing to celebrate and that it doesn't mean anything. And he's right, guys. Netanyahu is correct. But then Trump allegedly fired back and says, I don't know why you're always so, and he used an explicit negative. That is a win. Take it. So at least to me, Pastor, it seems like there is far more pressure than we even realize that's coming against the nation of Israel. Now, we know we just came out of a major, the UN General Assembly, where Israel was literally cornered by the vast majority of nations that have all come together in an agreement to divide Jerusalem, divide Israel in the name of a Palestinian state. And they want to. And the sad part about that is, as many of your listeners know, and we know, that some of these key supporters of Israel in the past have now turned on. One of them being the United Kingdom has now agreed. France has now come on board with a Palestinian state. So you and I know this, but our listeners, there may be a small group out there that may not understand this, but I believe this has got to happen, prophetically speaking, because we remember, according to Zechariah, that as we get closer to the end, we get closer to the fulfillment of all things, Jerusalem, Israel, will become the center focal point. It will be the talk on the lips of nations and leaders. It will be that centerpiece that is going to try to be heaved away. That the world eventually will turn against the nation of Israel. And it's one thing we've heard about this and you've been in this game longer than I have, and you've heard about this for decades, but now we're seeing this come to play. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do. Ricky, just great questions too. So first of all, I want to say this regarding what's going on with Trump and what you just read, calling out Netanyahu and saying this is a good deal, take it. Trump he seems to be, I mean, people are going to be totally ticked off of me for saying this, but he seems to be just being outmaneuvered. That would be when I look at what's going on with Hamas. And also, you talked a little bit earlier about Iran, which we're going to get to. And, you look at this, it's like pieces on a chessboard. And so that being said, there's also great pressure on Trump himself coming from people on the right to be done with Israel. So with that, you go, okay, is Trump caving to that and saying, forget you guys, I've worked out the best deal ever for you. You better take this deal. Kind of what I mean, if you go back to Bill Clinton, I know people are going to be mad at this. You look at the Oslo Accords and different things. It's like every single president has been stumbling over the issue of Israel. And quite frankly, I look at what's going on right now. I think Trump is stumbling over the issue of Israel, and he doesn't get what it is to deal with this situation in particular. Okay, that being said, when you put it into the context of Zechariah chapter 12, verse 3, God makes it very clear. Jerusalem will be a stumbling, it will be a burden for all nations. though all nations are going to come against her. Become a cup of drunkenness. And my goodness, Ricky, if you look at Zechariah chapter 12, verse 3, it sure looks like that is exactly the direction that this is going. It is a problem. It's a cup of drunkenness. People are having a really hard time dealing with it, where leaders are. All nations will come against her. Now, that being said, too, I used to teach that when all nations turn against Jerusalem, that's going to have, that passage is about the coming tribulation. I don't believe that anymore, Ricky. And the reason why is, in the tribulation, when the nations come against Israel, it is Jesus, Yeshua HaMashiach, who comes to save them. We know from Zechariah chapter 12, verse 10, that they look upon him whom they pierced. Jesus comes back. We're going to be with him. He's on his white horse. When Israel cries out for the Messiah, Jesus, to save them, that's when he comes back at the end of the tribulation. But
Right.
when you get to verse 4 through 9, you realize, wait a minute, there's a different time when the nations are coming against Israel, which I think we are building into that time. Because in verses 4 through 9, it is the people of Israel who rise up against their surrounding enemies that are trying to destroy them. And God empowers them. The leaders of Israel become like David did when he fought against Goliath. That's what Zechariah chapter 12 continues to say in that passage. So in Zechariah chapter 12, verses 4 through 9, you don't have Israel's about ready to be destroyed by Antichrist, and Israel finally cries out to the Messiah, Jesus, to save them. In Zechariah chapter 12, verse 4 through 9, you have no, Israel rises up and God empowers them against their enemies. So I got to wonder, Ricky, if we are we are watching the development of Zechariah chapter 12, verse 3, and then the verses that immediately follow that.
Well, and then in my own studies too, if you go to if you go to Joel chapter 3, and I've got this pulled up here, he talks about here in verse 2, I will gather all the nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will enter into judgment with them there on the account of my people, my people, my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations. They've also divided up my land. Now, from what I've studied, this right here is basically Joel is telling us that the Lord himself will handpick these nations that have decided to divide Israel, and he will bring judgment on them through Armageddon. That's what that is. That's the judgment on these nations because they have divided Israel. And this is, again, I don't think this disagrees with Zechariah at all. And that's what's terrifying about this is, where you have to ask yourself, where's America going to stand? Now, I want to interject two things here real quick. Number one is we did a podcast on this, I don't know, last week. We do like 5, 6 podcasts a week, so I don't know when we did this, but we talked about there's new polls coming out. And again, you can do what you want with them, whether you believe them or trust them, whatever. But I do believe there is some credence to some of this, but a lot of these polls now are showing that a lot of the support for Israel is turning, because the longer this war drags on, the more military operations that Israel carries out in Gaza, the more the mainstream media and the left-wing media and all the propaganda gets pushed out of starvation and genocide and the verbiage that's used. It's turning a generation. Now, again, this is why it's so important to read a book like Pastor Tom's got and to educate yourself on this stuff, because we got a whole generation that's biblically ignorant and illiterate, and they get all their theology from TikTok and YouTube and Facebook, and it's not theologically sound and it's not biblically sound. So, of course, they're going to jump on the bandwagon, which is anti-Israel, anti-Semitic. This is why, Pastor Tom, it's mind-blowing to me that people like Candace Owens has such a following and a platform among Christians. And the type of propaganda that comes from her mouth every day, and I'm like, and I'm just sitting back being bewildered and shaking my head. So you've got this issue where there's a slow tide turning that's slowly turning against Israel, which again, we know that's prophetic. That's got to happen. So you've got all this that's coming together. Now, I just lost my second train of thought. I'll come back to it. It'll come back to me. So the terrifying part, oh yes, and here it is. And here's another thought that I've presented is I believe as long as this current president is in office, we will have our full support behind the nation of Israel. Now, is there cracks emerging? Yes, I believe there is. I was a little alarmed when he got up the other day and he said that he will not, and I quote, I will not allow Israel to annex. Now, they call it the West Bank, which is actually Judea and Samaria. And he says, I will not allow Israel to do that. And I'm thinking, man, who does this guy think he is? That he's bossing, Israel around, Netanyahu around, telling him he's going to do this, he's going to do that. So I have to ask you a question here, and I'm going to be blunt here. If this thing goes sour, and let me throw a hypothesis out here. Let's say this thing goes sour, and this thing is it's twisted or contorted somehow, where Netanyahu becomes the villain, right? For whatever reason, how will Trump respond to this? Could this be the final blow? And could this really fracture this Israeli-American relationship? Because you got to remember, the United Kingdom's already turned their back on America. France has turned their back on America. Australia has turned their back on America. Literally, turned their back on Israel. Let me correct that. They've turned their back on Israel. America is the only nation left, honestly, right? Am I right? As far as a superpower. So what are your thoughts on that?
I would say absolutely. So when we watch this on Judea and Samaria and Trump saying not going to allow them to annex it, you start looking at these things like you can see these cracks. So the more pressure there is coming from people on the right, and it is increasing significantly, even from people, Ricky, that used to really support Israel, that are within the prophecy world, we can see this whole thing turning. And Trump, I do believe Trump is beginning to be affected by it. It's nonstop pressure. Not everybody in his administration feels the same way as a Huckabee does, for example, or
Right.
Marco Rubio. So as we watch things moving forward, absolutely. Okay, that being said, I lost my train of thought too. Oh, okay, I know what it is. So that being said, the U.S., we know, is going to get to a point of not supporting Israel.
Right.
Trump could finally just
Has
say,
to happen.
like was revealed in the article you showed a few minutes ago, I've had it with you guys. I've had it with you, Netanyahu. You are stubborn. You're stiff-necked. God calls the people of Israel stiff-necked people. This is never going to work. You are the problem. And then if we look at it from two different perspectives, we start looking at it from eschatology. We have different beliefs. There's the post-millennial eschatology, which Trump's administration is, the majority of people on the right are post-millennial. They are not pre-millennial. They don't believe in a rapture. They believe they're going to fix the world. And after they fix the world, then Jesus is going to come back after 1,000 years. Whatever. The Bible doesn't teach that, but they believe it.
Right.
Hence, how many people, or is Trump going to get to the point, and this is where I do believe this is going to go, is get to the point of, on the right, say, Israel, you are the problem. And we've had it. We've got to bring peace to the world. And you are the problem. So the post-millennial thinking has to go that way, Ricky. It has to. And seeing what Trump's remarks are is like, you can start to see, okay, Netanyahu, is Trump getting to the point of you are the problem, you won't accept this deal? And Trump's a deal maker. That's what he does. When I voted for Trump, I knew that Israel is going to become an issue for him because he was going to pick up with the Abraham Accords. He wants to bring peace. Let's face it. I love so much of what the Trump administration is doing.
Right.
I love dealing with the lawlessness that's going on out there. And we're watching pro-life get a voice finally. And we're seeing what's happening. There's so many things I appreciate. I hate the wokeism and what's happening to young boys and young girls and sex changes and all that. I love so much. But I guess we knew it was going to come down to this. Trump's a deal maker. And in his mind, I'm going to make a deal, and Netanyahu, you're in the way. So when he's surrounded by post-millennial people that are involved in churches, it's going to go this direction. Now, if we take it one step further, the rapture happens. There is Katie bar the door. There's nothing to
Right.
support Israel anymore. And I think
That's true.
that is really what we are seeing coming from people like us, and why there's so much anti-Israel sentiment out there right now within churches and people on the right. It is after the rapture, who's going to support Israel? None of these people are going to support Israel. They will not. So that is the direction this is going, but it's also going to be a fulfillment of the prophecies that are still to come.
It's true. I want to shift gears a little bit, and I want to let's talk about this article right here. Now, this is from. Let me give you a different angle here. Here we go. This is from the mostimportantnews.com. A good friend of mine, Michael Snyder. He does an excellent job on writing these articles. He does a lot of research on this. But in this article, he talks about why are dozens of U.S. military aircraft recently flying to the Middle East, or they're already there. And he put in here, quote, hint, it has nothing to do with Hamas. Now, I'm going to scroll down here and just give you a little bit on this. Quote, the U.S. military has launched a major development of dozens of refueling aircraft to Qatar in recent days, positioning them, at a Air Force base in the Gulf Kingdom, as well as other locations in the Middle East and Europe. The buildup has, quote, sparked widespread speculation that Washington may be gearing up for a new round of strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. And then it goes in a little bit of a detail about the aircraft that is being sent there in the military buildup. Have you heard anything about this? What is your thoughts on this? Is this a possibility? Is this kind of like a preparation if things go sour with this in the Middle East? Because obviously, remember, guys, Netanyahu said this is either going to happen the easy way or the hard way. We know what the hard way means. Or B, is this something completely different? And could we actually be gearing up for another war with, I'd say war, that's a strong term. I should say another military operation to take out nuclear facilities. And wait a minute here. If that's the case, wasn't we told that we completely annihilated Iran's ambitions of nuclear development? That's what I thought we were told. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah. So one challenge with the Islamic mindset, again, that I don't know if the West quite understands, is the thought is from the West is we've humiliated them. Now they're going to lay down their arms and they're going to go home and they're going to want to just do whatever we want. They don't think that way. There is no thought of humiliation. They're fighting for Allah. And if you look at their eschatology, when you come from the Shiite aspect, which is what Iran is, you have this, no, we're going to make sure there's massive war in order to bring about the Mahdi, their version of the savior. So no, war is what they want, regardless. In their mindset, they have to bring war. They have to conquer. For example, that's why Europe is going the way that it is. It's about fighting. It's about humiliating on their side. It's about murder. It's about killing. It's about war. So I think with the thought in Israel gets this, but with the thought from the U.S. is we've done this major damage to Iran, therefore now they're going to want to do it. No, that's not what they're thinking. So I really enjoy Michael Snyder. I love reading everything he writes, and he's rather insightful, I will say.
Yeah.
And when he's hinting at something, it's like, okay, he's onto something that nobody else is picking up on.
Well, he's a former lawyer. That's the thing. He's got that mindset as a lawyer, and he'll go through and he'll dissect information and pull stuff out that, you and I, may not catch because of his background and stuff. That's what makes it profound when he brings that research out there.
Yeah. And that being said, I mean, there's no way these have anything to do with Hamas. Israel is in the position to deal with Hamas as long as they either Trump green lights them to do it, which he keeps saying there'll be a bloodbath if you don't agree to it. But I think Trump's going to try and stall Israel from doing anything. So we'll see what happens there. But this has nothing to do with Hamas. Israel doesn't need that. Trump's not going to go in and drop these massive bombs over Gaza and everything. Not going to do that.
Right.
So my guess is they are preventing what Michael Snyder says. This has a lot more to do with Iran, because Iran has not stopped with their constant threats since
That's true.
that nuclear facility was taken out. They have not stopped, and there are other nuclear facilities in Iran. And what their capability is, I don't know. But you still have Mossad in there. You inside Iran, there's still a lot of people that are in Iran that love the Lord. They're coming to faith in Jesus Christ, but they have a radical regime. And you may have taken out, listen, they may have taken out people at the top, but they haven't taken out everybody. And if you look at the Hamas situation, okay, you took out, Israel's able to eliminate a whole lot of the leaders within Hamas. Guess what? Hamas is still here. And here's a huge problem that nobody seems to be addressing with Hamas, which would also affect the wicked people in Iran, the ones who run it, right? Not the people on the streets. Is in Hamas, if you take out a Hamas leader that's 30 years old, he has a kid that's 10 years old. That 10-year-old kid is going to have only vengeance on his mind.
Yep.
Or you take out a leader that's 40 years old. He's got a 15-year-old kid, which is probably very real. And he's got 8 different children. Every single one of them, you've now created 8 people that really hate Israel. And it's this dynamic that has been created. So when Israel says we have to completely eliminate Hamas, and Trump's first plan, the one that's over 72 hours old now, that first plan, Hamas goes away. That plan, but it's not going to come about. So you've created more, in a sense, you've created more monsters with more vengeance, because not only is it about Allah, you've also killed my brother, you've killed my dad, you've killed my sister, or whatever it is.
Right. Yep.
And Iran, and so when you look at Iran, you've got this same dynamic from the people that were in the leadership in Iran, but also in the military that buy into the lies of Iran.
One more quick question. It's kind of in this thread. What about and I'm sure you probably heard about this, there is the internal threat, which is the Laura Loomer. She released that memo. This came from way up about the potential Al-Qaeda terror cells that are stationed in America. There was like 5 major cities. I don't have that in front of me, but there was 5 major cities, and their plot is to basically disguise themselves and blend in with emergency services, urgent care, hospitals, doctors, medical facilities, and wreak havoc in that area. Have you heard anything on that? I'm sure you've probably heard of that, but I didn't know if you had any more details on that as well.
Yes, I don't have any more details, except we know for a fact, you and I both know this for a fact, during the Biden administration, as the borders were open, I don't believe it was about having people from Mexicans coming in to the states, except to get more votes. That was the primary thing there. But I believe a real aspect of that was it's the terrorists that came in with the Mexicans. And we know there were well over 1,000 operatives, well over 1,000. And actually you can count into I think 30,000 if you start to break it down a little bit more. But if you take 1,000 Al-Qaeda terrorists that came in with the Mexicans, right? It's like they blended in. And the Biden administration knew it, because we read reports. We knew what was going on. If we knew, they knew. So when Laura Loomer reports this, it's been out there. And I do believe it is a very real threat. You got to wonder what's going to happen tomorrow. So with that is what's happening, what Michael Snyder's reporting on, is the Trump administration going, we're going to deal with Iran. We're going straight to the head of the snake, because if they're releasing these terrorists, we're going to make in America, we're going to make sure that this price is they're going to pay a very heavy price. It also, along those lines, Ricky, if Michael Snyder is right, which I have no reason to believe he's not, is that means the Trump administration knows this terrorist that you're describing attacks over these cities with the emergency responders is probably only days away from taking place.
That's wow. Got to be in prayer, guys. Plead the blood of Jesus over your household. Be in a posture of prayer before you even step out of your house. And then, you know, you have to wonder, and I said this, and I don't know your thoughts on this because I haven't even talked to you about this, but that whole gathering of 800 generals and admirals, I don't think, guys, that was just a morale speech. And now that's what was presented to us publicly, to the public eye. But I think there were some things that was said in secret that we don't know about. I mean, I could be wrong, but I just find it hard to believe. I listened to a few former military and them discuss this, and they said that is so risky, Pastor Tom, to put the President of the United States, all of your top leading officials, all in one location, and the enemy know that literally could decapitate the entire head, the military head of the United States. They're going to risk all that just for a military pep talk, a morale speech. I don't know. I just don't. I know. Here it is. Let me pull out my tin foil here and put it on and put my hat on. But I'm just saying that I don't buy into that. I believe there's two sides to this. One side that we see that we're given, but I'm telling you, behind the scenes when the cameras were off, I really believe that there was some things said. Any thoughts on that before we shift gears? We're going to talk about something else here.
Well, Ricky, I don't know. I mean, we are only told what they want us to know.
Exactly.
That, you know, so you look at that, you know, it doesn't make any sense. You know, this is about getting your hair cut. You know, if you look at it in the perspective that you just gave, it makes no sense. Send out a memo, you got to get a haircut. You know, I mean,
right. That's what I'm saying. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So, you know, when you bring that perspective of it, listen, we know for a fact what's released to the public is only what they want us to know.
Yep.
And people are deliberately manipulated. One clear place that we have an understanding of they only let us know what they want us to know is if you look at technology. You and I both know there were things that we know that were developed 15 years ago.
Oh yeah.
That are just being released to the public now.
Yep.
They already have all this stuff. And there's a process of conditioning the people to get to the place of the fulfillment of what is coming. So all these things are already in place. So they let us know what they want us to know in order to manipulate the masses. And I believe that is what's happening. We may never know what that meeting was all about, but was it about, hey, we're going after Iran? Hey, we're going to do this with Russia and Ukraine. We're going into details. This report about these terrorists is real, and we've got to be ready. We got to have people stationed in all of these major cities. What was really going on in that? We're going to bring down a lockdown across the U.S. What was really going on in that meeting? I don't think we certainly don't know right now.
Right. Now we're going to, speaking of technology, let's just springboard off of this, and this is going to be our final little talking point here. We're going to watch this video. You and I both know that this is something that was a major, prophetically speaking, in my opinion. This is setting the stage. I'm not saying this is it, but it is the precursor. It's the framework that's setting the stage, conditioning society. And I'm talking about the digital ID that will be mandatory for you to work in the United Kingdom. Check this out. Listen, here's a speech from Kerr. Is that how you say his name? Kerr Starmer? I believe that's how you say his name.
Starmer, yeah.
Yeah, here you go.
We are in an era of... And that is why today I am announcing this government will make a new free of charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out.
Spell it out.
You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID.
Wow. So he spelled it out, Pastor Tom. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom without a digital ID. Let me show you this and pull this up too. Look at this. Switzerland charts its own path on digital IDs, sparking European privacy debate. In a razor-thin vote, Switzerland has broken rank with its European neighbors by approving a uniquely privacy-focused digital ID system that stands in stark contrast to controversial initiatives underway in the European Union and the United Kingdom. Now, this shouldn't surprise us, guys, because let me see if I can pull this up. Look at this. Thousands of Swedes are inserting microchips under their skin. Now, there was I pulled up stats on this a few days ago, and there's literally, guys, thousands, up to like 6,000 people in Switzerland that has already put a implantable microchip in their hand for, again, in the name of convenience, security, everything. It's all there. It's convenient and everything. So here you have, let's look at this real quick. So now you have countries now that are accepting and being conditioned to put something in their hand in the name of, again, peace, security, convenience, all of this. And now we have a digital identification system that is going to be required, mandated to work. I don't know about you, Pastor Tom, but I think I've read somewhere in this book about something that sounds a lot like that to me. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So what do we have? We have RFK Jr., who says you got to have a wearable, right?
Yep.
For medical purposes. We have Bill Gates. If we go back to 2020, Bill Gates, remember the tattoo developed?
Digital tattoo, yep.
That was 2020. Now, he's been talking about that lately. Right. And you talk about these things all the time. And then Starmer says this, listen, right now, as of today, it's going to be our phones, right? As of today. If we look at, what was it, World Economic Forum with, what's his name? Klaus Schwab. Remember that, Ricky? When he says, I love what China does. We need to implement that. That is what this is. So as of today, it might be a phone. As of today, we're what year are we? 2025, right? It is not going to stay on the phone much longer. Bill Gates says it. Starmer says you got to have the digital ID, but ultimately it is going. And like what you just reported, those Switzerland, and that started in Switzerland. How many years ago did that start? That was
a long time ago.
That was pre-COVID. I remember that was pre-COVID. Okay.
Yeah.
And here's what I mean, there's so much more to say about this. Maybe we should do something just on this someday. But if we look at it, again, it goes down to what has been happening is the technology is here. And what has been going on is the people have been in this place of being conditioned to get them to that point. That is what has been going on. So it's a carrot and stick. Starmer says, oh, it's free. It's free. It's the carrot. And you'll probably get the UBI, Universal Basic Income, to help everybody because we know what's coming with artificial intelligence and some jobs are going to be going away for sure. And they already are. So we get that. So you got the carrot, but he said, you will not work unless. Here comes the stick, baby. And wait until it gets to what you're saying, what this book tells us, exactly where this is going. But I think Starmer says it has to be fully implemented by 2029 is what the date is. By 2029, completely, you will not be able to escape. What they're building is a system you cannot escape from.
That's exactly right. And we have sounded the alarm on this over and over and over again. And this is what's terrifying is all this is playing out. Let me pull this article up, and you literally just touched on this, but I want to show our audience here. And this is from The Hill. Gen X may be the first to need a universal basic income after late career job loss. And if you read into this, Guess what the reason why is because half of all white collar jobs will disappear as artificial intelligence advances. Now, here's what's funny but terrifying at the same time is Elon Musk recently came out and said that by 2030, there's that number. Have you noticed how much 2030 comes up with these guys? By 2030, the world will have a universal basic income, and it will be we will live our best life, and AI will be here and all this stuff. And I mean, these guys, and I want to say this, because you brought this up earlier. There's a lot of things that I love about Donald Trump that he stands for. I love that he's against the woke agenda. I love that he's for the sanctity of marriage. I love that he's for the sanctity of life. I love, what he's doing to try to protect our borders. There's a lot, and we could go on and on. The one thing that I would say keeps me up at night about him that I don't like is how he rubs elbows with the Sam Altman, the Larry Ellison, the Elon Musk, and all of these guys, these technocrats that are, and frankly, they're lunatics. I mean, their envision of humanity is to enslave humanity into what's called transhumanism. And we did a podcast on this just this week, and you talked about right now it's these phones. But then it'll be Bill Gates has said that he believes it's going to be a digital tattoo. Elon Musk says it's going to be a BCI. Now, that's an acronym for brain chip interface, aka Neuralink, which is going to go. How interesting is that, Pastor Tom? Mm-hmm. You've got something that goes on your hand, electronic tattoo. You've got a BCI or a brain chip interface that goes in your head. And you and I both know once you've conditioned society to accept something on your hand, it's not going to take long for somebody to come along, probably from Switzerland or somewhere, and say, "Hey, you guys are so far behind on technology. Who needs a digital tattoo? Why do this? Why do that? Just put your hand out here. Let us put this little chip in your hand. Now I have access to all my medical information is right here. My payment information is here. I can buy, sell, and trade. Security. I can go buy a firearm, and it will match my fingerprint of the chip that will unlock the safety mechanism. You guys know they're creating that, right? And they've been doing that for a long time. So what are we talking about? We're talking about an entire society that's being conditioned for what scholars have sat around, scratched their head, and debated for centuries. Could you imagine, Pastor Tom, living in the 1800s and reading Revelation 13 and be like, what? How in the world is this even going to happen? But here we are in 2025, and you open up to Revelation 13, and it's like, well, I mean, I can literally open up my Bible to Revelation 13, pull up 3 articles from our website or whatever off the internet, and have a candid conversation with somebody I work with or somebody in my family or a neighbor, and show them. I like what David Wilkerson used to say. He said, the time would come when you could take the Bible and a newspaper and put them side by side, and you could see how we're that generation that will see all these things come to pass.
Absolutely. It's interesting, Ricky. There's those who push back against anything we say about the book of Revelation still coming in the future, the prophecies, and they'll bring up how the Roman Empire, they actually had a mark. No one could buy or sell without their particular mark. It was a stone or whatever it was that they used for identification purposes, that you were part of their system. And that's what they say, no, that was all fulfilled way back then. And we've said, that's absurd. For one thing, this is something that is global. It is an hour of trial that comes on the whole earth. Every single person is going to be required. It was not fulfilled in the past. And what you were talking about, listen, this is the evidence of where we are right now. And it is coming, and it is going to be sold as it's for your good. Look how it's the shaming. We can already see the shaming take place. I mean, we watched the last 5.5 years of the shaming, go back 4 years ago, and the shaming that took place if you didn't do something in particular to be able to go into a store. Oh, you're not going to do, oh, you don't care about humanity? Oh, you don't, oh, I see what you're about. So we've already adjusted to being shamed and shaming people in order to compliance. But this is going to be, look, we finally found an answer to peace and security.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is receive this mark, and you're not willing to do it. Not to mention the medical treatment for your kid if your kid has some disease that is going to kill them. If you don't receive the mark, you can't get the medicine to heal, so your kid can be killed. The pressure to receive this mark is going to be unbelievably strong, where it's going to be almost impossible to resist except the power of the Holy Spirit. So you look at this and go, it is coming. It's coming like a freight train. And again, these are dates of men, 2030. But nevertheless, I don't think it's a coincidence that they're all giving these dates, because here's the deal. Satan knows. He knows better than we do. Yep. He might not know the exact time of the rapture, exact hour, but he knows. He knew 1948 was a marker for Israel, even though most pastors deny that. And everything is racing towards this. So it's not a coincidence that's all coming about at the same time. It's also not a coincidence that we have super billionaires all here at the same time that weren't hindered by government red tape to develop the technology necessary. No, God is the one who's in control. God is sovereign. He made it so at this time you'd have these people who have a mind that's evil, that are willing to use their things for whatever purposes, use the billions of dollars that they have, even trillions as they accumulate together, to develop the systems necessary, all at the exact same time to bring about this. That's not a coincidence. And while we talked about the first part with the nation of Israel and the hate on Israel, these things are not a coincidence. They're all happening right now.
Well, look, we're getting ready to wrap it up, but I want to throw this as a nugget for you guys. If you face a preterist, and that's what, when Pastor Tom talked about these individuals that will tell you that all the Matthew 24, Luke 21, Mark 13, all that was fulfilled in 70 AD, ask them this question, and this is always stumps them. When did the sign of the Son of Man appear in heaven and the tribes of the earth mourn, and when they saw the Son of Man coming out of the clouds of heaven with power and great glory? They can't answer that because that's nonsense, guys. It never happened. Again, it's a false doctrine. And it's so old that it was circulating in the time of the disciples too. They were saying that same nonsense. So and that's why Paul had to address the church of Thessalonica too, because one of these people had convinced the church that they had missed the rapture, and Paul had to come along and say, "Hey, you didn't miss the rapture. I told you these things when I was with you," and he had to reaffirm them that. So, Pastor Tom, we've flown by. It's been an hour. I can't believe it's been that long already. So again, it's been an honor to always have you on. We've had a great discussion, and we're going to pick this back up soon. And I can't wait, to have you again, or we come on your program, whatever the case may be, and we have these conversations. But again, guys, if you've not connected with Pastor Tom, again, go to hopefourtimes.com. You can find him there. If you're blessed by his ministry, go subscribe to his YouTube channel. Bookmark his website. Let him know that you appreciate him. Let us know in the comments section too, guys. Let him know in the comments on the YouTube that you appreciate him. Give us, again, hit that like button. Share this broadcast across all these platforms as well. So, Pastor Tom, I want to give you this real quick, throw it back over to you. Any final thoughts before we say goodbye on this podcast today?
Yeah, folks, I would encourage you, stay in the Word, because there's so much that is coming from both sides of the aisle, left and right, to knock us off from believing that this is true. The deception is increasing. The pressure to capitulate or just kind of back off is increasing. Stay in the Word. God's Word is truth. God's Word will lead you. His prophetic word, 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 19, is a light that shines in the darkness. So do not turn to the left or right from his word, because we have entered the days of great deception.
Amen. So again, Pastor Tom, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining our podcast today, and we hope to see you again. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Ricky. I know we'll see each other again. Can't
Yes.
wait to see you. God bless you. Thank you, everybody. All right.
Yeah, you too. All right, guys, again, I want to leave you with Luke 21:28. Jesus said, when you begin to see all of these things coming to pass, come on, y'all should be able to quote this with me by now. Look up and lift up your heads because your redemption is drawing near. Listen real quick, got two things I wanted to share with you. Number one, if you have not downloaded our free app, I want you to pick it up today. It's available on Apple and Android devices. You can pick it up at your Play Store, whatever that looks like for you. Download it, hit yes to push notifications, and you'll be alerted of every breaking news, prophecy updates, these podcasts like this, the articles, everything's gonna be right at your fingertips, so you cannot miss a single headline. If you enjoy our content, you're blessed by our ministry, and you'd like to know more about partnering with us, we've got a quick video right here we want you to watch, and we'll be right back.
If you enjoy our content and would like to partner with End Time Headlines, helping us make more people aware of the times and seasons which we are in from a prophetic perspective, you can go to endtimeheadlines.org and click Support. Here you can give a one-time gift or a monthly pledge on our main website. This page also shows you how to give electronically through Cash App or Venmo. If you would like to give by check or money order, you can make it out to End Time Headlines at P.O. Box 1391, Monroe, Georgia 30655. Or you can give through our free End Time Headlines app by pressing the bottom right button that says Donate.
All right, guys, so that's going to be a wrap for today. Again, we hope you enjoyed this podcast. Again, don't forget to hit the like button, share this, get the word out there. And we're going to sign off for tonight. Again, Lord willing, we'll see you guys tomorrow night, October 7th, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here for another great podcast. Till we see you on the next one, I pray the Lord bless you, keep you, and may his countenance shine upon you. We'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to the End Time Headlines podcast. We pray that you've been blessed and equipped by today's message. For more information about how you can help partner with our ministry, please visit endtimeheadlines.org.